actually think that trans people are gonna get genocide. They had horse cock in their Twitter thingy.
I hate trans people.
People like you make trans people look bad, especially if you have horse cock in your profile thingy. Trans people get a lot of shit, and then this is the reason why, because they tweet out stupid stuff like this. And just don't spread misinformation. That's where I draw the line. It's so freaking stupid. I hate it so much. So I DM'd them saying like, hey, maybe you shouldn't spread misinformation. Maybe you shouldn't say like trans people are gonna get genocided, you know? Because maybe that's a little bit crazy. And then they like did a tweet. I took a picture, but I bleeped out everything. Hopefully everything's gone. Just to show, they're like, oh, would you believe a big name trans sex worker was in my DMs? That's me. I'm apparently the big trans. And they're accusing me of like being this asshole, but it's like, no, I just want you to not make us look stupid. Trans people get a lot of shit, and then this is the reason why, because they tweet out stupid stuff like this, saying that we're gonna get genocide. It's so freaking stupid. Yeah, dude, I'm the big trans. You know how there's like big pharma and big toilet paper company? Get ready for a big trans. She ended up deleting that. We ended up DMing each other on Twitter or whatever, and then she posted all of the DMs on her Twitter thingy, and then she was like,
oh, it's just a warning. My post was a warning that is looking like that.
and it's like, no, it's not a warning. You didn't say it was a warning. You actually think that trans people are gonna get genocide. You literally tweeted this saying that they're gonna get genocide. If we were getting genocide, what's classification? People are divided into us and them. That doesn't make any sense. This is crazy conspiracy people talk. Have you guys heard about flat earthers? There's another one that people think Earth is like a giant bowl and we haven't explored all of it, that we're not able to get past the walls on the outside that are made out of ice. I've been listening to a lot of those people too, and it's crazy. Flat earthers are not in, but the bowl earth, that's the new one that everybody likes. Symbolization. People are forced to identify themselves.
Forced.
In bold. I mean, I guess, like, you know how you introduce yourself? Like, hi, I'm Nano. Nice to meet you. That doesn't make any sense. Symbolization. Discrimination. People begin to face systematic discrimination. Maybe, but like being trans is hard when all your legal documents don't match what you want it to match, if that makes any sense. And of course, there's gonna be weirdos that are gonna be like,
no, I don't believe you.
Dehumanization. People equated with animals, vermin, or diseases. Number 4, people are equated with animals. They had horse cock in their Twitter thingy, and I don't want to say they identify as a horse, but I'm just saying they're not helping their situation if they think they're equated with animals. That literally doesn't make any sense. Organization. The government creates specific groups, military, police, to enforce the policies. That's not really the case with trans people. I mean, that is what the police do. They do enforce law, and the military will help if nothing's going on, you know? But we're not making... there is policies against trans people, but that one's weird. That one is just a weird one. That one doesn't make any sense. Number 6, polarization. The government broadcasts propaganda to populace against the group. I don't know what populace is, but there is no propaganda that the government is being like,
I hate trans people.
That doesn't make any sense. There's no government propaganda against trans people. You're literally crazy if you think that's the case. There's no such thing. There's freedom of speech and people get mad at that, but it's like, there's a line, you know? You can't say illegal stuff, but the government's not gonna be like, nope, propaganda. And then she thinks trans people are number 7. Official action to remove or relocate people. The government's not gonna come to your house and be like,
hey, you're trans? I'm gonna put you in a camp.
If that happened, that would be crazy, dude. That would legit be crazy. And that's apparently where we're at. This is why this person thinks we're getting genocide, because of all of those. Number 8, maybe persecution, beginning of murders, theft, and property trial massacres. Trans people do unfortunately get murdered and stuff, and it's pretty bad. Extermination? Wholesome, not wholesome. Wholesale elimination of the group is not extermination. It is extermination. I don't know why I said not. And not murdered because they're not considered human. None of this is happening. Literally, none of this is happening. Maybe on a small scale, you'll see discrimination, but nobody's making you like do any of this. None of this is even happening. It's crazy. The government denies that it's committed any crime. Well, I mean, technically they haven't, so I guess that's the case. So I DM'd this crazy person, and they're like,
would you believe it? A big name trans sex worker was in my DMs.
And then she deletes it. She deletes it. She puts down all the receipts and is like, oh, this person said this and this and this. And then she deletes it because she's wrong. I'm pretty sure I wasn't the only one. I couldn't have been the only one that DM'd her and been like, stop spreading misinformation. Trans people aren't gonna get genocide. People like you make trans people look bad, especially if you have horse in your profile thingy. That doesn't make any sense. Nobody's gonna appreciate that. In some countries it is like that, yep. Thankfully humanity's getting better, 100%, yep. Well, I think we're in a good position in the United States. And then they're like, oh, you're from California? I'm gonna use that against you and be like,
none of your opinion matters because you're from California. And I'm
like, that still doesn't matter. If you're not from California and you're spitting out all this stupid information. I was like, whatever, dude, whatever. If you want to have horse in your Twitter thingy, go for it. Just don't spread misinformation. That's where I draw the line. Horse is allowed. Misinformation, not allowed. That's really cringy and weird. That belongs on Facebook. That's basically this one Twitter drama. It was just a warning. My post was a warning. There was a law in Utah. There was a law in Utah that people were trying to pass that would prevent trans people from participating in sports. But then the governor, someone of like Utah who's a Republican, looked at it and they're like, there's only 4 trans people that want to participate in sports. And the entire thingy of Utah, there's only 4 trans people. Why would we make a law that prevents them from playing sports? And they're a Republican and from Utah, Mormons, and they realize like, hey, this is a really stupid law. There's no reason to be attacking trans people if there's only like 4 of them that want to play sports. There's so much of this going on and it's like, people just use their stupid brain. There is no genocide going on. Trans people are gonna ruin society. You're just crazy. But yeah, that's pretty much the thingy that I wanted to cover.